why don't we just start with, if you want to just introduce yourself and.
Yeah, Jack Davis. I'm the founder of Good Neighbor Festivals here in Nashville.
Awesome, man. And when did you found Good Neighbor?
We operated under JD Events and Festivals, but we've been around for 6 years.
Very cool. So the big one that jumps out, at least for me, the big festival that jumps out being an East Nashville resident is Tomato Art Festival.
Yes.
And so you tell us a little bit about Tomato Art Festival and how you guys approach Tomato Art Festival and all that.
Well, that event, 2018 is the 15th year for Tomato Art Festival.
Yeah.
Meg and Brett McFadden, who own Art and Invention Gallery there in Five Points, actually started that festival, and they brought us in, and this will be our 10th year working on the event.
Cool.
So they were definitely the creative minds behind getting that festival going, and they just wanted to have a fun art show in August, and people and businesses were interested in getting involved, everything from Bloody Mary contests to, at one point they were throwing tomatoes against a building, and it rooted itself in East Nashville, and it got big enough that they brought me in to kind of help organize everything outside of the actual art show. Okay. And so we have been growing and curating that event since then, up to, we're easily doing 60,000 people now.
Yeah. I mean, last year was just like just walking around, and so I think, I've been in Nashville 5 years, and I've gone every year, and so last year it seemed like it even went another level. Like it just seemed huge. I mean, we have been carefully growing that event, and we are trying as hard as possible to keep it East Nashville and wacky and fun. Yeah. But the reality is it's also grown into a citywide, if not regional event. Oh, totally, absolutely. What? How many festivals are you in charge of now?
Work on every year we work on anywhere between 20 and 25 festivals.
Okay. Cool.
And they're all either here in Nashville or Louisville.
Okay, in Louisville. What is any brand new festivals that you're excited about, or any first, second year?
We probably my little baby is Edge Hill Rocks, which is the first Saturday of April every year in Edge Hill Village area. I think that event has a lot of potential just because of its location. The neighborhood is a great mixture of Nashville, new, old. So I'm excited about that one. This year will be year 4 for that event.
Cool. So. First Saturday in April. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very cool. So the purpose of these conversations that we're doing, we're opening up a conversation about how to balance art and industry, and we're going to be talking with a number of different just people in events and music industry and things like that, to have this conversation. And so what do you think is I think it's great that you work in especially with the Tomato Arts Festival, how much art goes into that. Nashville, I think sometimes it's all about music, right? Mm-hmm. There's so much about music, but there's so much art that is happening, all over the place, all the time. And there's so much art that is not music that goes into the music industry being successful as well. And I think that in regards to growing, for any artist, whether they're a visual artist or a musician, there's this moment of trying to make that decision of, do I pursue this as a career? Is this a career opportunity for me? And in Nashville especially, people are moving here all the time for making that decision. What is something that you see as maybe some tricks that you see for artists to stand out in their art while pursuing that career?
I think at the end of the day, it's confidence in themselves. They are good at self-promotion, which would typically go with being confident about what you're doing.
Sure, totally.
I think those are probably the biggest things we look for in both in any art that we're booking for a festival. So
Yeah.
that would be an actual artist, a visual artist, a musician artist, or somebody that's selling art.
Yeah.
They're confident, they have a good track record, they promote themselves well.
Okay.
Because festivals are a community coming together.
Yeah.
And so while we can do all the promotion possible for the festival, the acts and the visual artists and the artists that are selling stuff should also be promoting themselves at the event along with the event.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really neat what you just said. I don't know that I've ever connected the confidence, the level of confidence needed to self-promote. It's always been kind of a thing that's like, you got to self-promote, and that confidence in art. That's a great point. So when you're going to curate a festival, that's a number one thing you're looking for. What are some other things that stand out?
yeah, and I'll follow up on that. That comes with knowing who you are as an
Yeah.
artist, and so
Okay.
typically you're not very confident if you're not doing something or you've tried to fit a mold that is not you.
Okay.
And so I would not put myself in a confidence category, but I'm really good at what I do, and so I'm confident about that.
Yeah.
But if I was trying to do surgery on somebody, I'm not going to be very confident about that.
Right.
And I would
yeah.
not get on that surgery bed at all.
Yeah. Like, stay away.
Yeah.
And so I think that you see a lot of that in towns like Nashville or New York or LA, where somebody is coming in to pursue a career, and maybe they're being told this is who you need to be. And if you're trying to be something that you're not, it's going to be really hard to be confident in that. I mean, I think some people are capable of taking on a persona,
Correct.
to fill a desired niche or something like that, right? So some people are capable of taking on a persona, but that authenticity, I think, is kind of
And then
what you're talking about.
you hear stories all the time of somebody that did that, and then they had a success story when they stopped doing that.
Right.
That's a kind of a thread through.
Oh, I think
a
Katy
ton
Perry
of-
just jumps out to me as like the number one
Yep.
there with the
Kesha.
with the early
Yeah.
Christian.
Oh,
career,
yeah,
right.
yes.
Kate, she was Kate Hudson or something like that before. Blew me away. Yeah, Kesha diving in. I think that's the classic story, right? Is that the success comes when an artist starts being honest.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's huge. The authenticity in the art and confidence. Switching from that, moving into you're working to book. How many bands do you guys book a year?
Somewhere between 500 and 600.
500 and 600 artists are being employed by you for performances every year. That's
Yep.
insane. Thank you for that. And we were talking earlier, and you said that with your festivals, every artist is paid.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's never been a question.
Yeah.
I mean, we work to some degree in a similar industry where people just assume that we'll, produce their event for them for nothing,
Right,
or
right.
just for the exposure.
Okay.
And so, while we don't have tons of money with a lot of these festivals, I'm adamant that we pay everybody that's performing.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing. So, at that transition, we're moving art into a business arrangement, right? So, what are some things that you've got an artist that's standing out confidently in their art, and they're getting your attention? What are some things that you're looking for from a business perspective of how you're choosing these artists, and what stands out to you in how an artist conducts themselves professionally?
One of the first things that will catch our attention is we spend a lot of time looking at other shows in town. And so that typically will catch our attention of who they're opening for, or, somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
Every festival has a little bit of a different look and feel, so we're always looking for different acts, and we try not to book the same acts over and over.
Sure.
We'll at least wait 3 to 4 years before booking another act on the same festival.
Yeah.
I think going through the proper submission process first is always helpful.
Yeah.
But you also need to have some other connections.
Yeah.
We get a lot of applications for our festivals, and it's hard to keep up sometimes as much as we want to. We try to listen to everything. We try to take everything into consideration. But just like applying for a job, always having someone else reach out to us will always raise that to the top.
Yeah.
We also spend some time looking through websites, social media channels, and again, back to, we love to see artists that are confident and help promote the shows and events they're involved in.
Yeah.
If we're going to pay you to be on site, we're doing that because we think that you can, one, add to the festival, two, bring more people to the festival, and just add a different fun component to that.
Yeah.
And if you're not helping us promote the festival, it doesn't do us any good.
Right. So throughout the year, you're seeing somebody, if you see somebody promoting another event that you're not doing, but you see them really working hard to promote that event, you're going, well, I want that
Exactly.
for my event that I'm doing. And so I think that's a huge point of kind of one of the things where artists, you never know who's watching, that type of thing, of you might be playing an event that you might not, I see it all the time where an artist isn't maybe taking an event all that seriously and they're under promoting it. And I think that's a good point of, hey, somebody might be watching how you promote this event with the thought of, we're looking to book you for another bigger event, but we're kind of watching to see how you handle this one that you're a part of. And I think that's kind of something that maybe slips through the cracks with artists sometimes, that you don't know who's watching what you're doing over here for later down the line and how you're conducting yourself.
Yeah, and we also pay attention, how many shows they're playing on average.
Okay.
Playing 10 shows in 1 month is a lot. And I understand why an artist might choose to do that.
Yeah.
But we typically love to put radiuses on them, even local bands that might be able to sell 50 or 100 tickets somewhere. We love to actually, we would pay them more if they will put a radius clause on it.
Yeah. And just so that they hear from you, I think a lot of artists, especially young artists, they don't really know what a radius clause is. So tell us what that means for one of your festivals and what that looks like.
Well, it's different for the level of the act, but I mean, typically we'd start at a minimum of not playing any other shows within 60 miles, 15 days either side of the
15
event.
days. Yeah.
Now, I would rather have 30 days on either side, but that's going to depend on the level of what we're paying.
Sure.
And
totally.
Just the level of talent or where they're at in the lineup.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, even like with festivals, I think some artists, maybe when they're on a club gig or something like that, they're on a hard ticket gig or something, they maybe understand that radius a little bit more. But I think sometimes they're a little bit thinking, like the festivals, people are just coming anyways, like it's not up to me to promote, it's just the festival promote. I think that's kind of a thing that maybe gets some artists into trouble. Yeah,
and it's not up to, it is really not up to them to promote, but you're, to some degree, you are being given a platform and the ability to reach 25, 60,000 people, 5,000 people that you might not have been able to sell a hard ticket to.
Yeah.
And so if you're ignoring the fact that they're going to come anyway, like that's your opportunity to reach out to them.
Yeah.
You're not going to speak to everybody that's at that event, but if you can speak to 500 of them, that's 500 people that probably wouldn't have bought a hard ticket or didn't know who you were. And so by just ignoring that piece or just assuming that people are coming out, while that might be true, you're also I think you're missing a huge opportunity to impact a bunch of people that wouldn't have known who you were.
Completely agree. All right. Well, one more question for you. What are a couple of artists that have your attention right now?
Katie Pruitt, Daniela Mason, and we've been watching Taylor Bennett as well. Who's a much like outside of Nashville level
totally.
group, but those are the three that come to mind. But there's, we are constantly listening to music in the office, and it's constantly new.
I love it.
It's not New Music Fridays; it's new music every day to us. But we do listen to all those submissions. We do pay attention, and it can be overwhelming how much music is put in front of us, which is great because I love it, and that's one of the reasons I got into what I'm doing.
That's awesome, man. All right, so some technical information for the artists. Where do they go to submit? When is a submission window? Mm-hmm. And what are some pointers for the artists for how to plug in with you guys?
Mm-hmm. GoodNeighborFestivals.com is probably the easiest. It has a link to every single festival on there, but then there's one general entertainment forum which will list all of the festivals, and you can mark which ones you're interested in playing. I think that is one step, but being smart about your social channels, your website, making sure that you actually have video of your shows. It's always amazing to me how many artists don't. There's no live show information or web, like anything. YouTube.
Any representation of, hey, you can do this.
Yeah.
Actually do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good point, and let's talk about that a little bit. I think a lot of artists are, they're going into a record cycle. How much are you, if they're having to make a choice between some really good live performance versus maybe a music video or some really well done promotional video material, are you hardlined on needing it to be live from a show? What's the level of quality you're looking for there?
We're not hardline on that. I think, we'd love to see a live show.
Okay.
And even if it's a 30-second clip of a live show.
Okay.
Because you never know. You can listen to music all day, but how is that person interacting with the audience? And there's no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
It's just we're interested to see what a live show would look like.
Yeah.
That helps us kind of put together the lineup, or the order of the lineup sometimes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be the best quality. A lot of it's better quality the better.
Obviously.
But
yeah.
A cell phone video is not a terrible thing.
Yeah. And which a cell phone video, your iPhone has like an insanely great camera on it. We're in a new era now of where that's not a terrible thing. That's not a terrible idea, but I think the point is to plan it, right? Like, hey, we're, even if you're using cell phone video, organize.
Just know that it's happening.
Yeah, know that it's happening. Know, hey, we're gonna film this show. Everybody be well behaved or something. Like plan it, organize it. I think that's great. And then there's a ton of other. There's so much happening now. Anything from So Far Sounds to Music Neighbors is a very cool group, nonprofit group here in town that does live video work, things like that. So there's plenty of ways to plug in. Well, thanks for coming and
thank you for
chatting
having me
with us. And when is are the submissions open all the time because you have festivals?
Yeah, they're
all the
open.
time?
It's open all the time.
Okay.
We generally start booking 6 months out for each
6 months
festival.
out. Okay.
The larger the festival, the further the window. But for the most part, it's 6 months out.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming and hanging out
Yeah, thank you.
and chatting with me about it.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep.